This is Valley View News.
Hundreds of people demonstrated both for and against neo-Nazis. It has been 15 years since the Oklahoma City bombing. Family members and survivors gathered to commemorate. After being buried for 5 days during the earthquake that struck China, an elderly woman and a child were rescued.
Welcome to Valley View News. I'm Michelle Mata.
And I'm Lizette Gomez. Tensions were high as a neo-Nazi group and hundreds of counter-protesters confronted each other in front of Los Angeles City Hall. VVN reporters Fatima Zulkifli and Suzanne Tatoy were in downtown. Suzanne joins us now in the newsroom. Suzanne.
The rally was intense. Both groups said they were there to exercise their First Amendment rights to free speech, but it took hundreds of police to keep the two groups apart. Around 500 people showed up to the rally put on by the white supremacist group. Activists representing different races, religions, and political viewpoints came to counter-protest the neo-Nazis. Violence broke out when one man was attacked by a mob of counter-protesters because he was believed to be a neo-Nazi. The National Socialist Movement, or NSM, is a neo-Nazi formation based out of Riverside, California. They are here in front of City Hall in part of their Reclaim the Southwest campaign. Counter-protesters were anxiously awaiting the arrival of 50 NSM members. LAPD officers were on tactical alert to keep the peace. Dressed in riot gear and armed with protective weapons, the LAPD are trained to handle these situations. The neo-Nazis obtained a permit to rally outside of the Los Angeles City Hall.
This is our country! Go home while you still have a chance! Because when we come to power in this country, and I promise you, we will, because we have the momentum!
Counter-protesters say they are here to stand up against racism.
And we do not tolerate the racism, the fascism, the anti-Semitism of the Nazis. And we've got to learn the lessons of history and stop them while they're small. And we're prepared to work with anyone and everybody to do that.
They have the right to be racist. We also have the right to have something to say about that. I believe that.
The LAPD won't say how much they spent on preventing violence between the two groups, but they say it was a lot. After the rally, LAPD officers escorted the neo-Nazi group back to their parking lot. They were met by counter-protesters who were throwing rocks, bottles, and other various objects at both the police and the Nazis. Several of the counter-protesters were arrested. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Suzanne. Former Los Angeles Police Chief Daryl Gates has died. Gates was 83 years old and died of bladder cancer. Gates served as police chief for 14 years, ending his retirement in 1992. He's accredited for developing a terrorism task force, the SWAT team, and created the department's DARE anti-drug program. The former chief came under scrutiny after controversial statements regarding the police beating of Rodney King. He's survived by his brother, retired LAPD Captain Steve Gates, and 3 children.
The city of Los Angeles is proposing a rent increase in one of city's cultural landmarks. This could result in the closing and end of many businesses and cultural traditions. Valley View's Jocelyn Bonilla has more.
The colorful craftsmanship of Placita is one of many things that attract people to the 80-year-old Mexican market. Traditional Mexican costumes worn for performing dance and music are another. And this little girl buying a costume with her family sang for our camera.
Mi México querido, qué linda es mi bandera. Si alguno la mancilla, le parto el corazón.
However, that might be changing as the city of Los Angeles proposes to implement a rent increase to all vendors. Vendors have received a letter stating that the commission has authorized the street manager to increase the rent by 200 to 300%. That's much more than vendors like Reinaldo Verduzco, who bought his shop in December of 1986, can afford to pay.
I would have to pay $4,400 and something a month, when actually I pay $1,346. That's impossible. How am I going to pay $4,000?
Aside from being a center for business, it is also a place where Mexican culture and traditions are celebrated. Many vendors have been at the Placita for decades. They are concerned how the rent increase will affect their family traditions.
What am I going to tell the youngest one, my great-grandniece, and if she asks me, what happened to Alvera Street, what's going on, or what's going to happen? What am I going to answer her?
This vendor didn't hold back.
If we can't fix it directly by talking, then we'll probably have to take legal action.
What took over 100 years to build and is known as the heart of the Mexican culture in Los Angeles has an uncertain future. City officials have yet to decide the future of Placita Olvera as it faces its final days in the upcoming months.
Viva Viva Mexico! Viva America!
In Los Angeles, Jocelyn Bonilla for Valley View News.
Los Angeles County has released a $22.7 billion proposal for next year, and it hopes it can ease the budget problems. The budget will use $167 million in cash reserves and eliminate hundreds of vacant jobs to help close the $510 million budget deficit. County CEO William Fujoka says the county is having a hard time coping with the recession. The LA County currently has an unemployment rate of 12.4%.
A Northridge resident dedicates her time to help out teens in high schools. Valley View's Michelle Mata reports.
Being a hairdresser and salon owner isn't Crystal Flora's only passion. She says her drive in life is going to high school, speaking to teens about life choices.
I want to know you guys. That's why I'm asking these questions. That's why we all want to know.
She uses the decisions she made in her life as an example to them. She was born and raised in North Hollywood and grew up around nothing but gang life. She's been in the hair business for the past 11 years, and for the past year, she has been a motivational speaker. She speaks to them in auditoriums or libraries like this one, where teens come in on a willing basis to hear her and her team known as Womanhood and Manhood Camp. Teen boys and girls join in on the lecture. They listen, they write, and they ask questions. Some teens, like this 15-year-old girl, reached out to Flora for one-on-one chat.
These teachers, a lot of them do care. They don't know how to reach them anymore, though. I mean, I listened to the district come the other day, and the facts on the walls were absolutely incredible. But these kids can't hear that anymore. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to hear a bunch of facts anymore. They want to know why they need them. They want to know where to use them. They want to know where to place them.
They're going to learn a lot, and they're going to walk away from this with something tangible, something they can use in life. And I think that makes more sense to them. And I think the great thing about this program is how it connects everything to the real world experiences that they're bringing to the table.
Flora's colleague, Kernard Durr, says she's an inspiration to teens.
She's a successful businesswoman, and for her to make that leap and bring it to someone else, to these kids, to the youth, which is much needed, and devote her life into doing so, is really admirable.
It just comes out of me. It's not even about what I'm getting out of it. I love watching young people grow and get it.
For the past few months, Crystal Flora has been traveling to beauty schools, churches, and high schools like this, James Monroe High, being a youth advocate for teens. Her goal, she says, is to make a difference in their lives the way someone did in hers. In North Hills, I'm Michelle Mata for Valley View News. It has been 15 years since the Oklahoma City bombing. Hundreds of people commemorated the tragedy at the Oklahoma City National Memorial to remember the 168 people killed on April 19, 1995. The bomb was set off in a truck park outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. More than 600 people were injured. The ceremony started shortly before 9:02 a.m., the time the bomb went off. Some family members visited the site, where chairs now stand in honor of the victims. Survivors, family members, and people across Oklahoma City observed the 168 seconds of silence to honor each of those who died. Family members of the victims also read the names of their loved ones who had been killed.
Anita Christine Hightower, and my mother, rescue worker Rebecca Needham Anderson.
Bomber Timothy McVeigh was convicted on federal murder charges and executed in 2001.
Hundreds of thousands of mourners bid farewell to Polish President Lech Kaczynski. The funeral was held 8 days after this fatal plane crash. 94 other people were also killed when the plane went down in Russia. Kaczynski and his wife's funeral was a traditional Roman Catholic Mass. The procession extended over a mile and led into a cathedral overlooking the Vistula River. Many world leaders were invited to the funeral, but volcanic activity in Iceland kept many from traveling. President Obama was among those who couldn't attend.
Nearly 2,000 people have been killed in China's devastating 6.9 quake. State news agencies say that nearly 1,400 people were seriously injured and more than 200 people were missing. The 68-year-old woman and a 4-year-old girl were rescued after being buried for 5 days. The disaster area on the Tibetan Plateau is known as the roof of the world and is subject to frequent storms. Some truckloads of food, tents, and quilts have already made it into the small town of Yushu. But Chinese authorities warn that icy roads could bring more misery in the days ahead.
Coming up, the two-day International Cannabis and Hemp Expo showcases a multi-billion-dollar marijuana industry.